I have found it. The world's best sniper rifle. It's big, it's powerful, it can shoot a teeny target from a mile away. Well, it cannot do that. That's a bit overrated. If you try to be like the Jackal, you probably won't be a good sniper, no matter what rifle you are using. But you can be a little more like the Jackal with the right choice of rifle. I spent a lot of time with snipers in the military, and I've been a long-distance shooter for decades, so I know what actually makes a good sniper rifle. First, it needs to follow 3 things. Let's call them the 3 sacred rules of sniping. The best sniper rifle will 1. Allow you to get into position without being noticed. 2. Allow you to make your shot accurately and lethally. 3. Allow you to retreat safely. You do want to go home, right? It seems so simple, but it gets overlooked so much, especially in movies. You know what else gets overlooked? What people actually mean when they talk about sniper rifles. When I shine at the range, people do not say I did a good job with my JP or my AI or that Barrett you probably know. They talk about my skills with a 6mm, a 338 or a 416 Barrett. It is the round, not the rifle. The round is going to determine most things. The rifle's frame, weight, and barrel length. And yes, size does matter there.
They're ginormous!
It's all driven by the caliber. The main rifle mechanic that matters is whether it's a semi-auto or a bolt action. And the round will tell you which one of those makes sense too. So, if you want to find the best sniper rifle, you need to ask yourself, what caliber do I want to use? Wait, do not answer that without knowing where you are going to shoot from. It's like asking your wife where she wants to have dinner without you already having a plan and a reservation made.
Good luck to you!
Most of the snipers I knew shot their targets at ranges between 200 and 800 yards. Occasionally, missions would involve longer shots, up to around 1,000 yards to 1,200 yards. But any more than that, and the mission is less about taking out a high-value target, HVT, and more about reconnaissance or anti-material purposes, while sometimes seizing a great opportunity when luck is on your side.
You're a lucky man.
Now, your choice of weapon as a sniper will depend primarily on what distance you think your target is going to be at. But obviously, not everything is so simple. If I always knew ahead of time what range a target would be at, I'd charge money for it and make a killing of snipers trying to get back home safe. So the best bet to find the best sniper rifle is to get the one that has a balance between the 3 sacred rules. Before we get to the beauty contest, please consider subscribing if you're enjoying yourself so far. It really helps me to keep putting out videos like this. And now, America's choice. Let's start with America's favorite rifle round. It is also the favorite of superhuman assassins like Golgo 13, the classic anime hitman. It's the 5.56 NATO. This round is not what comes to mind when you think about the typical sniper rifle round, but it works for shorter sniper shots up to around 300 yards or 400 yards. With the right optics. Golgo 13 likes to take it further to 500 yards and beyond, but that's Golgo 13. A bit more realistic is the movie Lone Survivor, which has a lot of great sniper shots at short distances. When there's a reason why Gorgo and the SEAL team liked it so much, it worked very well for them. First of all, the round is really light. The most common round weighs 0.3 ounces. So a fully loaded 30-round magazine will only weigh about a pound. That means the ammo and the rifle carrying them will be really light too.
Corporal! Sergeant.
Make sure you keep this man away from strong winds.
Yes, Sergeant.
There are slightly heavier bullets for long distance at about 0.44 ounces, but that is still a light load. And guess what that means? Snipers can carry a lot of 5.56 rounds and get into and out of position or move around a lot more comfortably since there is not such a heavy burden on them. Imagine having to spend days out in the wilderness or in an urban combat zone, and you can see why this would be an attractive option. So, we have satisfied points 2 and 3. A rifle chambered for the 5.56 or its similar civilian equivalent, the 223 Remington, is a good one to get in, get out, and stay comfortable doing it. If having to do your business in a Gatorade bottle is comfortable.
I got 56 ounces of fluid in my bladder, and we have to establish a pee corner.
By the way, you will likely still have to do that as a sniper, no matter what rifle you use. And guess what? A precision 5.56 rifle can still be a semi-auto, so it can turn into an effective close-quarter combat weapon if worse comes to worse, which unfortunately has a good chance of happening. The worst was shown pretty well in Lone Survivor. But there is one big downside to the 5.56 as a sniper weapon. Maybe Golgo 13 can use it to hit anyone from anywhere, but not you. The ballistics do not work for long distances. It was not designed for that. At 400 yards, your impact will be about 32 inches lower than what you're aiming at. That is a lot and makes a hit becomes a miss. Also, because it is a relatively light bullet, the wind will grab it and move it around easily, especially as it slows down over distances. So you can only expect to reliably make a really accurate sniper shot up to maybe around 300 yards or 400 yards. However, that is fairly close and gives plenty of opportunities for the bad guys to get to you quickly. Once you get past that zone, the margin of error will increase to an unacceptable level with over 50 inches of drop at 500 yards and somewhat unpredictable trajectories. That means a sniper will need to be close in order to use this weapon effectively. And high-value targets, their security perimeters know that too. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge to get in, and if you can get in, to get out safely, even if the load is light. And there is another big downside to the 5.56. At the furthest, most comfortable range, it might not have enough energy left at the impact to guarantee a kill against the target. Imagine if you're a sniper and you went through all that pain to take out the HVT only to learn that you failed even if you made your shot. That is why most snipers would disqualify the 5.56 as a great long-distance shooting range, even if it's otherwise nice and pretty. So welcome to the new and exciting world of the 6mm. In the recent years, the 6mm calibers, big sisters to the 5.56, have grown popular for military sniping. A Ukrainian sniper made 2 kills on Russian infantry near Bakhmut using a 6mm rifle at 918 yards, with both targets dropping instantly. These rounds have also been showing up and dominating in long-distance competition. For example, in PRS matches, most top contenders use a 6mm round with targets averaging 400 to 800 yards. The good news are that 6mm rifles can still make for great semi-auto weapons. That means the sniper has something to fall back on if things turn south and is not quite ready to blow himself up with a grenade. But there are differences. One of them is the weight. 6mm rounds like the Dasher, the Creedmoor, or my favorite, the Arc, weigh around 0.52 ounces, which is much more than the weight of the 5.56 standard bullet at about 0.38 ounces. Wait a minute, that weight does not sound like much of a difference, right? But over a long duration mission, it can add up, especially because the rifle itself will need to have a heavier frame and barrel to accommodate this round. But what do you get for that extra weight? Something that makes up for the increase in fatigue. You get great ballistics, including flat and predictable trajectories, and the ability to retain velocity at long distances. Also, the heavier weight of the bullet will make it less sensitive to the wind, which means the accuracy will be increased over longer ranges. That means you can make relatively easy headshots up to 400 yards. And easy center mass shots at 600 yards. The round can do more than that though. Also, more mass means it will retain enough kinetic lethal energy up to 800 yards. This means the sniper can feel a little bit easier about actually getting the job done from a longer distance, even though that energy will drop a lot beyond 800 yards. Sounds great. What is the downside? Well, aside from having to work more on your cardio at the gym.
Push it out. Everything you got. Everything you got.
For mid-range mission, the 6mm round has a lot of good qualities. But if you want to guarantee a successful escape, 600 to 800 yards might not be enough. Security details are sophisticated these days, and drones are everywhere. Fortunately, there is another way. The 6.5 Creedmoor. It's a small size difference from the 6mm, right? Half a millimeter more. What difference can it possibly make? Well, first of all, if a round like the 6.5 Creedmoor is your choice, you'd better have some muscles. You will need to use a rifle with a 22-inch barrel, at least. And that means only one thing. The weight is going to increase. Each 6.5 round weighs about 0.77 ounces. Not a lot on its own, but it will add up when you start to carry a few magazines, plus the rifle and everything else that a sniper needs in the field. And now you're talking about a lot of extras, like a good scope. Iron sight won't cut it anymore. Although there are some semi-autos that can accurately fire this round from long ranges, semi-autos are going to be heavier and less overall accurate than the bolt-action rifles, which have less felt recoil, as well as tighter and more consistent ballistics. Thus, you will need a bolt action. Even those will be heavy, as the rifle itself will need to have a heavier frame and barrel to shoot this round. So if you are a sniper carrying a 6.5 rifle on a mission, you'd better have the proper upper body strength. Plus a lot of patience to deal with the increased bulk that will make you want to vent in frustration. And there is another downside as we are talking bolt-action rifles. You probably will not be able to get a lot of shots off, so the shooter better make each round count. But it's still a great round. Just ask one of the most legendary snipers of all time what you get in return for the downside. The 6.5 Creedmoor has its origins in intermediate .308 caliber cartridges, such as the .308 Winchester or the .30-06 Springfield. Both .38 rounds have been favorites of hunters and snipers for decades. Really great rounds up to 500-600 yards, but it can go further. The Winchester 70, chambered in .30-06, was a favorite of none other than Carlos Hascock, the legendary Marine sniper, who used it to kill a Viet Cong general from about 700 yards. After crawling about 1,500 yards over 3 days to get into position. He made his shot count and got out safely, after crawling away for another couple of days. The 6.5 Creedmoor has even better ballistics, with flatter and more predictable trajectories, as well as better retaining velocity over distances. At 1,000 yards, the 6.5 will drop about 20 feet versus 26 feet for the .308. Here I am, shooting my 6.5 reliably at 1,000 and 1,250 yards. And it has less recoil than the .308, which makes it even easier to shoot at long range. There are even some documented shots at 2,000 yards. But remember, when you're shooting at that range, it's likely not going to be against a deliberate and well-chosen target. See my video about snipers in Hollywood for more on that. So if a sniper has a mission against an HVT, 1,000 yards or 1,200 yards would probably be the maximum range for that round. Still, there is a lot more room for comfort when you can take a shot from 1,000 or 1,200 yards compared to 600 yards, if living alive is the real objective. I prefer those odds, even if the 6.5 is a harder hole. So that raises the question, is that all? Is it better to bring in the big boys if you want to hit your target and make a clean getaway? The big boys. Let's go to Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, or Ukraine from the safety of our chairs. You might have heard about sniper kills there at ranges above 2,000 yards. If ever there were a perfect sniper shot, something like that would be it, right? The sniper not only has the skills to make the shot, but it is a whole lot safer to make a clean getaway from 2,000 yards than from 300. So you might ask, where do I sign up to be that kind of sniper? Well, you better know what you are getting yourself into. At that range, every single detail matters. That means you will need a great scope that will give you clarity with at least 25 to 40x magnification. That way you might be able to see very small silhouettes. But it's better than not seeing anything, and you won't without it. You cannot shoot it if you cannot see it. You will also need a great trigger, preferably a 2-stage trigger, which will give you more control on that needed perfect pull of the trigger. A 2-stage trigger breaks the pull into 2 distinct phases. The first one allows a smooth travel until you hit a wall with a sharp increase in resistance. Then the next stage will involve a very light pull with a clean break. Okay, now you will almost certainly need to use a bolt-action rifle for shooting targets at this range. You know why. They have less felt recoil as well as tighter and more consistent ballistics. They are also more adaptable to custom rounds. But that also means one other thing. I hope you have excellent upper body strength because you will need it. Just look at that most famous of all big rounds, the 50 BMG. Each round can weigh around 4.58 ounces, and it will stack up with all the magazines. That means the rifle you will be using will weigh over 30 pounds. So be prepared for a lot of fatigue and make sure you have good fieldcraft, especially in the age of drones. These rifles will stand out. Every sniper carrying a 50 caliber rifle will need to be aware of this. But it's worth it if you can make that shot from so far away and get out, right? Well, here is the not so glamorous truth. Those really long sniper kills, like the Canadian soldier in Iraq made against a target 3,800 yards away, they were not targeted assassinations. Here is why even a 50 round won't work for that. The 50 BMG round was not initially designed for pinpoint shooting, just the opposite. It was designed as an anti-material round, not an anti-personal round. It was designed to hit a truck at long distances, not the driver. At 2,000 yards, a 50 round will drop about 100 feet, with a margin of error on target of over 40 inches, in perfect conditions. So if you are thinking you're going to hit a specific HVT with a 50 rifle at over 2,000 yards, sorry, it's probably not going to happen. Those sniper shots you have heard about were not specific targeted assassinations. They were just targets that happened to be in the way of where a sniper was already positioned and stupidly decided to stay still for a few seconds. What about other rounds like the 4.8 Shitak, the 375 Enabler, or my lovely 416 Barrett? These are newer rounds with better ballistics, flatter trajectories, and increased accuracy. However, at those distances, it is pretty much going to be the same thing. At the distance you would want to shoot them with, it is possible to make the shot, but the accuracy is too questionable to take out reliably a single high-value asset. You could get closer, of course, but that means you're stuck carrying a heavy load that is hard to conceal. So for those reasons, I would disqualify the big boys as being ideal sniper weapons. Yes, they have the range and power to make kills from very far, but you are a lot more likely to be noticed and caught.
Hello? Mr. Sniper, sir! Get away!
So, at last, we have arrived at the ideal balancing act. Before we look at it, please consider clicking on the link in the video description to get a free resource list of rangers, stores and books and our newsletter, the 338 Lapua Magnum. You probably have not heard of this round. It doesn't get a lot of love in movies. But if you want to shoot from 100 yards to a mile away, it is a great choice. And if that range does not work, maybe the weather is bad, you can still get precise and powerful hits to about 1200 yards. Here I am doing it myself at 1000 and 1250 yards. The 338 Lapua Magnum has great muzzle velocity, resulting in relatively flat trajectories. It does very well in not letting the wind mess too much with it. It returns energy very well, resulting in devastating impacts. As a result, it has a proven combat history, with 1500-yard shots being attainable for skilled shooters and shot beyond 2000 yards possible.
That's a great accomplishment, Carol. Amazing.
And guess what? You can do it for much less weight than a 50 caliber rifle. The round weighs about 2 ounces, more than half the weight of a 50 round. That means the rifle will weigh less too. You can even customize the barrel to use carbon fiber up to 26 inches long. Without a scope, rifle like this can weigh a manageable 14 pounds. A blessing compared to the other 30 pounds rifle like the 50 cal or similar. And I'm not just saying that. A few years ago, I was in an extended range shooting course where we had to hit targets all the way up to a mile. I used my 338 rifle and everyone else was using a 50 cal. Everyone was making jokes that my thing was too small.
Tiny, tiny! So tiny!
Yes, my rifle. But they were watching too many movies. This was a challenging class. We were not just shooting, we moved a lot, covered tough terrain and hills, trying to find the right position to take the shot from, and so on. I was one of the top guys in the class. I hit my target from a mile away, just like the other top students did. And I was much less tired than them at the end of it all. Less fatigue, same results or better. I did not feel or look like a mule or a Sherpa.
I'm not tired!
Will you be able to reach out further with a 50 cal? Maybe, in a vacuum. But for actually hitting HVTs, the 338 will be more accurate, and you will save yourself a lot of weight, which makes getting in and out easier. Are there comparable rounds? Yes. The 300 Winchester Magnum can get good results too, but the 338 ballistics prevail over long distances with higher velocities, smaller drop, and more energy retained, thus increased lethality. And there is the more recent 338 Norma Magnum. Very promising, but not yet broadly field-tested and adopted. If you want long-distance capability, the 338 Lapua Magnum is still the sniper long-distance standard. So for those reasons, if you ask me what rifle am I going to use to get my target out from a safe distance, so I can get back to my lovely wife when it's all over, the 338 Lapua would be the one I would pick as the best sniper rifle.
And good, great, grand, wonderful!
It is the perfect balance between power, reach, and keeping fatigue manageable. The one downside is that, unless Uncle Sam pays for it, for a civilian, the rifle and the ammunition are expensive. But do you have a different candidate for best sniper rifle? Let me know in the comments.